All right, we are here, middle of the offseason, and Luke Kornet is trying to be stolen. Mark Stein of the Steinline reports that the Clippers and the San Antonio Spurs are in the Luke Kornet chase. They're going to try to steal him away from the Celtics. At the same time, Jay King of The Athletic reported that the Celtics might consider trading Anthony Simons as a means to save more money so they could still retain Kornet and Al Horford, but Kornet is the topic of this specific video. It sounds like teams around the league are obviously going to be interested in Kornet, but at the same time, it sounds like the Celtics do want to bring him back. So we're going to have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, Kornet is feeling like the most important Celtics piece right now. I mean, Horford is mostly as important as Luke is, but there's like the longevity standpoint of having Luke versus Al, where if you lose Al, you maybe lose like 1 or 2 more years of having Al on the team, where Luke, if you keep him, like you could have him for 4 or 5 more years, like total. So I think Luke feels like the top priority at the moment. So hearing that the Clippers and the Spurs are interested in him is not a surprise because we've heard like little trickles of information. We had the Scotto report last month that was talking about teams who were interested in Luke and Al, and the teams that wanted Luke were willing to give the non-taxpayer MLE, which is about $14.1 million. That would be a hefty salary for the Celtics to try and compete with as of right now, right? They're about midway between the first and second aprons, which getting under the second apron was and remains the top priority for them this summer, where they want to ensure that they aren't facing severe basketball penalties as next season rolls around and avoid being violators 3 of 5 years. They violated the last 2, so if they do it in any of the next 3, they will face the 3 of 5 year violation penalties, which include like your future draft pick rolling all the way to the back of the first round, that kind of thing. So the Simons piece of this does make sense if Boston wants to try and give Luke a competitive salary compared to what we're hearing other teams like San Antonio and like the Clippers would be willing to shell out.
Yeah, I don't know. Technically speaking, right? The Celtics can pay Luke Kornet more than anybody else, right? That by like the actual numbers. It's just they won't, right? Like it's just they can't financially do it without going above the second apron. All the stuff you mentioned of like they just got under, they don't know what's happening, blah blah blah. I don't know. Clippers and Spurs make sense. The Spurs have had backup big man problems behind Wemby for the last 2 years now. The Clippers have Zubac, and then it's kind of just a mess, right? They signed Kai Jones for part of the season. They had Drew Eubanks for part of it. Mason Plumlee, like they can rotate it out. So, like, both of those teams need high-level backup centers. It's just a question of which team will be spending their money on that. Like, would they prioritize it on that over anything else? And for the Spurs, it makes sense. They already have great guards, right? They have wings, they have forwards. That's really the biggest hole in the roster. So, can the Celtics retain him? Would he be their starter, right? Like, theoretically, it would just be Al Horford, but like, would they roll out Pritchard, Derek, Jalen, Al, Luke? Like, would that be the starting lineup? Maybe, right? Like, they could slot Luke in as a starter. Is that part of the sell? Is saying, hey, we'll start you? I don't really think the Celtics would do that. I don't think Joe Mazzulla would play that way. And like guarantee a starting spot. I think the flexibility is too important almost. At the end of the day, it might just come down to how much does Luke Kornet and his family love Boston? Like, how much do they value being here? How much do they value staying in the school system? How much do they not want to have to move their whole, everything across the country?
Kornet, so you mentioned like the starting piece of staying with the Celtics, right? Like, if he were to stay in Boston, even if Horford comes back, there's a fair chance that they have him be the starter. I don't know how you feel about that. You could argue either way, where it would make more sense for Horford to be the guy, but with Horford continuing to age, maybe they want to try and limit his minutes, and by bringing him off the bench, they can play him in the same important spots without having to burn like 6 of his minutes at the beginning of the game. Whatever. Kornet, last year, his splits 16 games as a starter. He played almost 28 minutes a game, averaged 10.1 points and 6.1 rebounds as a bench guy, 57 games, 4.9 points, 5.1 rebounds. His net rating as a starter was plus 16.3. His net rating as a bench guy was plus 14.6. Both excellent, but he doesn't have like a drop off when he becomes a starter. Like, some guys are really only good in the NBA in short bursts, and like they lose their effectiveness the more you leave them out there. Kornet doesn't really feel like one of those guys. We've had him give great performances in the past in games where he started. Like the one that comes to mind for me is December of 2023 after they stave off the Pistons, who had lost 28 games in a row. They have a back-to-back against the Raptors, and Kornet played a ton of minutes that game. I think he had like a 2010, 2015 game. He had some crazy stat line in his start, and he is just somebody I think that is going to be able to produce for you no matter what role he's asked to play. So if you do keep him, if you're Boston, he could be a big part of keeping you afloat next year.
I mean, look at the playoffs. Like, look at the next game. Look at Game 5.
There
like,
you go. Perfect.
I mean, he was incredible, right? Like, he is perfectly capable of being a full-time, 25-minute a game guy, whether that's starting, whether that's off the bench. He understands where to be on the floor. He knows how to rebound. He knows how to block shots. He's never going to be like I'm going to give you 20 and 10, right? That's not what he is.
What if he was?
Could he be 10 and 10? Yeah, I think he could be a double guy. I just like he's not going to be the scorer, and that's not exactly. Well, you have him, right? Like the Celtics have Jaylen Brown, they have Derek White, they have Peyton Pritchard. They have guys who put the ball in the basket. They need a guy to rebound. They need a guy to play solid defense in the paint. They need a guy to occupy the dunker spot, and that's what Luke Kornet does. The question is, are they just gonna have the money to sign him? And he'd make a ton of sense, like on the teams we mentioned. He'd make a ton of sense on most teams in the NBA, right? Like you put him on that Spurs team when Wemby's off the floor, you automatically have a solid guy who is going to give you valuable minutes. Put him on that Clippers team, like think about the number of lobs he can catch with James Harden, right? The pick and roll with Jason Tatum was elite, and James Harden's been running pick and rolls with centers for a decade now. Like that would probably be a pretty good duo. So you understand why other teams are looking at this and say, wow, this guy's elite out of the pick and roll, great rim defender, and an amazing rebounder. We want him on our team. It's easy to see why other teams around the league are looking to steal him from the Celtics. But at the same time, like if they're already looking to shed more salary so they can retain him, like it becomes very obvious why his value is so high and how badly teams want to keep him around.
Just to add to the starter bench guy split, as a starter, 1.8 blocks a game. As a bench guy, I don't think he averaged one. Like he came off the bench 57 times and had 42 blocks, so it wasn't one per game. But as a starter, he was really effective in those spots. Granted, he played more minutes and he was out there for longer stretches of time, so of course he's going to have more time to block shots. But that's just another part of the defensive impact he was able to make in those spots. So, man, I'm starting to talk myself into him being a solid starter for the Celtics. Like, he's not an NBA Finals roster starting center, but, like, there are several teams that we've watched over the last decade that have players of Kornet's caliber as a starting center, and they've been okay. Like, thinking back to when Daniel Tice was the starting center in the bubble, like, they made the conference finals, really could have made a push to the finals if they finish off a couple more of the Miami games, like, and that was Tice as the starter. I think Kornet's probably better than Tice was at his peak, so you can still kind of imagine the pathway to the Celtics being towards the top of the Eastern Conference, even with a guy like Kornet, who is just all around solid, being the starter rather than somebody that's like an obvious plus when it's like Porzingis when he's healthy, if, of course. But like when he was out there, he gave them a significant boost, where Kornet is like the vanilla ice cream, as you so aptly put it forever ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's important for the Celtics to retain at least one of Kornet or Horford so they don't have a gaping hole at the center position. I think Kornet could be a solid starter for the next 3-4 years for the Celtics at the very least, and a backup beyond that. I mean, he's not 25 years old, he's 30. So like there's some nuance, I suppose. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a lot of it's just going to depend on Luke Kornet's priorities, like individually rather than team perspective. So let us know what you guys think. Clippers, Spurs as the two top teams reportedly targeting him, and the Celtics also trying to keep him on board. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll let Sam take it out.
Hey, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think of Luke Kornet and how much you would like to see him back with the Celtics next season. We are here every single day, so subscribe to the channel and hit the bell because new pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the one after each game, and other videos like this one are up on the days in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find the two of us streaming not live, on Spotify and Apple. All pods and recaps are there. So if you just want those, follow. They will go right to your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very, very much too. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Let us know how you're feeling going into free agency. Free agency, by the way, does start Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern now. So be on the lookout for news and updates coming your way. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's1NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.